Hi everybody, welcome to the Edge Designations CFA Level 3 introduction video for the 2023 exam cycle. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Russell Jude, CFA, and I'm your lead instructor for the CFA Level 3 program. The purpose of this introductory video is twofold. Number one, just to give you an introduction into how the CFA itself operates within the CFA Level 3 level. So we'll look at the program from the CFA point of view, first and foremost. And secondly, we will look at how Edge Designations as a prep provider to the CFA program can help you with your CFA Level 3 preparations. But first and foremost, let's get stuck in straight away and let's have a look at the CFA Level 3 from the CFA Institute point of view, how they look at CFA Level 3, what are some of the changes that you can expect in CFA Level 3 coming from Level 1 and Level 2, what are some of the changes in Level 3 from 2022 to 2023. Let's get ourselves going straight away. Okay. As an introduction, one of the best ways to look at it is let's have a look at what you can expect in terms of the final exam. Okay. When we look at the final exam over here, okay, in terms of its structure, first and foremost, important to remember, of course, that the exam is computer-based. But so is all of the CFA exams, as is FRM, and of course so too is KIA as well. So your computer, you can expect a CBT, a computer-based test for your exam. Okay. We have a look over here at the structure of the exam for CFA Level 3, and let's see how it differs from CFA Level 2 particularly. Okay. Yeah, you come into your exam first and foremost. You've got half an hour. The pledge, the tutorial, and a bit of a survey, CFA Love survey, so they'll ask you to do one of those for them. Okay, then we look at, there's two exam sessions. There's exam session 1 and exam session 2. For those that have been in the system for a long time, particularly some of the prep providers like myself, it used to be the morning session and the afternoon session. In the olden days, we're going not that far back, but it used to be that it was a PBT, it was a paper-based test. You had one exam in the morning, you had a 2-hour break for some coffee, some lunch, bit of rest and recreation, and then you came back and wrote your second paper in the afternoon. That's what you'll often find some of the older providers still talking about the AM and the PM papers, the morning and the afternoon papers. Of course, those are now gone and have been replaced by exam session 1 and exam session 2. Okay. And when you look at these two exams, one of the big things that everyone's going to tell you about as you enter CFA Level 3 is this very fancy thing called constructed response. Constructed response is very, this is the where people get brought down in CFA Level 3, very difficult, etc., etc. Okay. So first and foremost, let's just a little introduction, guys. There are only two ways that they examine in CFA Level 3. One of them you are familiar with, that's multiple choice, and you saw that from CFA Level 2. No change in terms of how they examine that in CFA Level 3, carbon copy from Level 2. In other words, it's a vignette. A vignette is a story, a case study, okay? Could be a page and a half, up to 2 pages, okay? Let's hope not much longer than that. And those are followed then by 4 multiple choice questions. And remember, again, just like CFA Level 2, the MCQs are 3 options, A, B's, and C's. Okay, good. Okay, so that's same as what you saw before, CFA Level 2. So no real new learning curve over there in terms of the structure of the exam. Half your paper in CFA Level 3 is multiple choice. Okay. Second half is yes, it's the famous constructed response. Everyone says constructed response, those are essays. Okay, guys, they are not essays. What it is, it's a bit of a story as well, a bit of a vignette, a bit of a case study, followed by several questions. Okay, so let's say, for example, you have got question number 1 is your first constructed response question. Remember, following on from that question 1, constructed response, there's going to also be an A, part 1, B, part 2, C, okay, as we go. So even within the constructed response questions, okay, they are not essays, they are constructed responses to a specific, okay, or a structured response to a specific question. Gone, please, essays make people nervous. People think back to their school days, English literature, English language, all that kind of good stuff. There's no grammar involved, guys. You can write how you like. If English isn't your first language, nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry about that, as long as it makes sense. No punctuations. You're not penalized for punctuations. It's just got to make some sense what you're writing. And it's doesn't need to be in the Queen's English in order to score maximum marks. Okay, so just remember, and we'll talk about constructed response a little bit more as we go through the program. But yes, constructed response is really, you get a story up front, you get a question up front, case facts up front, okay, for your constructed response question, followed by 3 or 4, sometimes even 5 little parts underneath it. Now remember, if each constructed response question that you get in your exam is followed by 3 or 4 parts, well, there's no room for essays because there's just not enough marks to go around for essays. They are 2 or 3 markers each one for the most part, up to sometimes 4 marks. Okay, not much more than that for the most part, and there we go. Okay, we'll talk a bit more about constructed response because I don't want to minimize constructed response and make it sound easy. It's not easy. It is a challenge. It is probably the biggest challenge that you're going to have in CFA level 3, and that's why, of course, us at Edge designations, that's our key focus. Because if your exam is constructed is not the right word, is made up of 2 parts, constructed response and multiple choice, and you guys are familiar with the structure, the form of multiple choice, you're comfortable with it, you've seen it in CFA level 2 already, doesn't change for CFA level 3, it's not the focus that we're going to focus on. Our key focus is constructed response. Okay, of course the first focus, okay, and this is the focus for any subject matter, is to know the material. So first and foremost, we take you through the entire material, followed then by how to answer constructed response questions. So those are our 2 major focuses in level 3 as a prep provider. We focus on getting all the material into you for CFA level 3, which is quite a bit different than what you've seen in level 1 and 2. Okay, and then we focus on how to answer constructed response questions. Not a lot of focus is on multiple choice, not to the exclusion, but that's not the area that candidates are battling on. You know how to answer multiple choice questions. So once you know the material, then to move into answering multiple choice questions, the candidates find not much of a challenge, albeit that, of course, we do give you some of those as well. Okay, let's have a look. In the past, when I say in the past, I'm talking about 2022. What used to happen, exam session 1, okay, was entirely constructed response in 2022. Exam session 2 was entirely MCQs in 2022. Okay, so you had a whole first exam of constructed response. What is a whole exam? 135 minutes of constructed response, and 135 minutes followed after your break on MCQs. 2023 came along and they made some change. I think they're wonderful changes. I think they make things quite a lot easier for the candidates. What they've said is no longer are you going to have exclusive exam sessions for constructed response and MCQs. We're splitting them up. Okay. So, exam session 1, you're going to have 6 constructed response questions, 5 constructed response questions in exam session 2, because in total, for constructed response and MCQs, there are 11 questions. And of course, 11 doesn't divide so nicely into 2, so you're going to have 6 constructed response questions in the morning, 5 in session 1 and 5 in session 2, and then your MCQs goes the other way around. You'll have 5 MCQs in the exam session 1 and 6 MCQs then in exam session 2. Okay, each question it's become wonderfully standardized. It gives a strong sense of structure now to the paper, which is fantastic. Okay, and what you see now is each question is worth 12 marks. Okay, be it a constructed response question, be it a multiple choice question, they are all worth 12 marks. Fantastic, it's standardized, easy to see. Okay, if you then take your 6 constructed response questions in exam session 1 times by 12, remember each constructed response question, each mark, okay, is per minute. Okay, so in other words, if you've got a constructed response question, which now we know will be 12 marks, okay, how long have you got to answer that question? You've got 12 minutes. Okay, getting a total of 72 minutes in exam session 1 for constructed response, and giving you a total of 60 minutes for multiple choice questions in the exam session 1. It doesn't, of course, that doesn't, 72 and 60 doesn't sum to 135 minutes, but it wasn't divisible either, so you get 3 free minutes from CFA Institute, courtesy of the house. Okay, that's exam session number 1. Okay, in terms of looking at exam session number 2, it looks very similar to exam session 1, except now we are just working the other way around. Instead of 6 constructed response questions, you now have, okay, a total of 5 for 60 minutes and 72 minutes for your multiple choice questions. Again, doesn't sum to 135 minutes, it sums to 132 minutes, of course, so you do get a little bit spare. You get 3 free minutes over there. This is the big change from 2022 to 23, in that they have put the 2 sections together. Constructed response and MCQs are now found in both papers. Okay, which I think is a fantastic addition. I really do. In addition to making everything so wonderfully standardized, 12 marks per question, be it a constructed response question, be it a multiple choice question. We know how long you've got for them. You can plan your time accordingly. I really think this is a wonderful move and change on the part of CFA Institute. Okay, that's your exam. That's what your exam is going to look like. But just a little bit of maths. Let's do some maths over here. Okay, and if we have a look over here, okay, now, if we are going to say, okay, that, for example, we know altogether, let's just do the maths, okay, constructed response, we're going to get 11 questions, okay, altogether, okay, across 2 papers, we're going to get 11 questions, and we also know, okay, that of these 11 questions, okay, there's probably, okay, one could assume, let's go on the lighter side, average, let's say there's 4 parts to each question. Okay, so in total, for constructed response across both papers, you are going to have to answer 44, what should we call these? Small questions, little questions, call them whatever you like. Okay. How do I get to 44? Well, we know there's going to be 11 questions altogether, okay, in constructed response across both papers. And I'm saying there's going to be 4 parts to each constructed response question, an A, a B, a C, and a D. Okay. Now, if there's 44 small questions, and in total you have 135 minutes to answer all these 11 questions across both papers, the maths is easy, isn't it? Okay, it's approximately plus minus 3 minutes per question. Does that maths make sense? 135 minutes altogether to answer your 44 small questions. That's 3 minutes per question. Is everybody becoming hopefully a little bit more comfortable that there's no essays? You can't ask someone to do an essay in 3 minutes per question. They are constructed, they are specific solutions to the questions that are being asked. You need to answer them in a pinpoint manner. Bullet point is the best. Don't worry about spelling, punctuation, or anything like that, nor grammar. Let's get on with it. Okay, there we go. Okay, is everybody quite comfortable now from our first page when we look at the exam itself? Okay, when we look over here, let us move across to the second page. Let's have a look at what's in CFA Level 3 syllabus. I'm still talking about from the point of view of the CFA Institute. let's have a look over here. Okay, as per usual. Okay, ethics is ethics is ethics, no change. Wow. Okay, ethics still finds itself with quite a meaty exam weighting. Okay, even when we hit CFA level 3, 10 to 15%. Quants, for those that are not lovers, will realize quants is gone. Financial statement analysis is gone, and corporate issuers stroke corporate finance is gone. So if you're looking coming out of the CFA level 1 and 2 syllabi, you'll notice that those 3 are now gone. Economics, still there 5 to 10%. We call that CME, capital market expectations. Then what you notice as well, okay, is that your 4 instruments are there. Your 4 asset classes are there. You've got equities, 10 to 15%. You've got fixed income, which is the heaviest weighted asset class, 15 to 20%. And then you've got alts for 5 to 10, derivatives 5 to 10. Just remember, within the derivative section, we also deal with currencies in there as well. Okay, where's the balance? The balance then forms part of what we call portfolio management, 35 to 40%. That's obviously your big change. That's obviously something that you probably haven't seen that much in CFA level 1, level 2. We deal with private wealth. We deal with institutional investors, asset allocation, okay, behavioral biases, behavioral finance. Some lovely stuff over there in that portfolio management section, but that's your big section. Okay, here's some numbers for you coming out of CFA. Not going to spend too much time on that. Okay, just in terms of the syllabus itself, guys, not a big change from 22 to 23. Okay, predominantly the same in terms of material. Okay, just before, well, let's just carry on over here a little bit further. Of course, everybody knows calculator policy by now. I don't need to tell anybody about that. Your Feb 23 exam window is 21st of Feb to the 23rd of Feb. We haven't yet got the August window, but that'll be the second time, of course, candidates can write CFA level 3 in 2023. Okay, and just one little last change before we look at what Edge can do for you, and then we will conclude that a little bit over there from the CFA's point of view, is that the math editor, there used to be a math editor, okay, that they used to have in 2022 on the computer, okay, to allow you to input certain numbers and functions and equations and that kind of stuff. Okay, they've gotten rid of that in 2023. Okay, and if you need to show a formula, let's say for example, remember it's all computer based now, you want to show a formula, you can even just say what your formula is. Okay, so you can just type out that this is the formula that I'm using. Okay, and then you'll get marks. But you don't need to type out, show the exact formula. You can just type out what you are doing. So just remember again, guys, those that are familiar with the math editor, I don't think many people use it, and I think that's perhaps the reason why they got rid of it, but it is no longer there. Okay, we move on a little bit over here, and just the last little bit I want to mention as part of this introductory video, okay, is what the various Edge options are for you. In other words, what can Edge do for you as a CFA level 3 candidate? Okay. Option number 1, and in fact I'm going to start with option number 2. Option number 2 is our online program. And our online program gives you comprehensive notes, every single LOS, videos on the entire syllabus, okay, a formula sheet and a Q bank as well. So that's a comprehensive program, option number 2, giving you everything that you need. Everything that you need. Okay, what's lovely about option number 2, okay, and what we do slightly different to perhaps some other prep providers is the videos on the entire syllabus. When we lecture our videos and take you through the entire syllabus, we lecture off our notes. In other words, the notes are comprehensive, they're in PDF format. Okay, what we do is when we do our lectures, we lecture off those notes. In other words, you've now seen, if you watch the videos together with the notes, you've now seen the material one time. I'm not a big fan of lecturing off slides, okay, or PowerPoint presentations, and then the student then has to go and then read the notes a second time because he hasn't yet seen them before. So what we do is we lecture off our notes. So you've seen the notes before, you know where everything is. You want to watch the video again, you can. You're getting the notes then just a second time. Okay. That's option number 2. Why do we start with option number 2 online? Because we then can move to option number 1. Option number 1, okay, is exactly the same thing as option number 2, but we've added an important component, the live Zoom classes. Live Zoom classes we have specifically on a Sunday, okay, for the most part. And the reason we have them on a Sunday is because everybody can then participate all around the world. Okay, of course, taking into account the different time zones. For the New Yorkers, the guys from Canada, it's about a 9-10 o'clock slot in the morning. For the guys, the European guys, it's a little bit later on in the afternoon. Australian guys, it's night time. And unfortunately, I think for Hong Kong and that, it becomes quite late Sunday evening. But what do these live Zoom classes do? These live Zoom classes, as I mentioned a little bit earlier on in this introductory video, is our focus at Edge is on the live Zoom classes on constructed response. So what we do in these classes, before each and every single class, and there's about 14 or 15 of them, okay, before every single class, I give you 1, sometimes 2 constructed response questions to do. The questions are based on the week's material. Let's say, for example, we're doing equities. I will give you 1 or 2 constructed response questions on equities. I will give them to you in Word format that you need to type them out and bring them to the live Zoom class. I don't give you a solution. We spend the entire live Zoom class, 1.5 to 2 hours a week, going through those constructed response questions, showing you where you would get marks, showing you where you won't get marks, showing you where you'll get partial credit. Okay, and we mark them together, and of course thereafter, after the class, I make the solution available to you. But the live Zoom classes, it's important to come in prepared, and having done the constructed response questions that I make available to you, we mark them in class, we go over exam strategy in class, and that is the value of the Zoom class. I must say, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about Edge's pass rate, but for the May 2022 exam, we used this approach almost exclusively, and we had a pass rate well in excess of the CFA pass rate. Well in excess. So this approach does seem to work because we focus specifically on constructed response and gives the guys a very good look at where you score marks, where you don't score marks. Often candidates come out of the exam and say, sure, I think I did very well, and they get a little bit surprised when they don't make it. Okay, we try and take that element of surprise away. Okay, when you look over here, okay, that's option number 1. Most of the candidates like that option. Option number 3, as we get closer towards to exam time, we enter into what we call our revision exam program, and again we give you comprehensive, okay, revision notes, again in PDF format, revision videos linked to those notes on the entire syllabus again, okay, and again we lecture our videos on the notes, so you've seen it one time before, but again taking you through the entire CFA Level 3 syllabus in revision format, formula sheets, and then of course 6 exams on our QBank. Okay, not to mislead anyone, of course those 6 exams are really 3 exams. Okay, 6 individual exams, but 3 full exams. Option number 4 is a QBank. For those that are interested, just purely, it's a little bit of an a la carte menu if you just want a QBank. And option 5 is just a complete set of notes covering each and every LOS. Okay, we will conclude the video. Let me just leave you with our website address for those that are interested in having a look at something further. www.edgedesignations.com. Why do we call ourselves Edge Designations? Because we offer CFA 3 levels, FRM 2 parts, and the 2 levels for Chi as well. We are a designation provider. On that note, we will conclude this video. I hope I've given everybody a little bit of a good look into both what the CFA will give you for level 3 and what Edge can do for you. Wishing everybody the most amount of success for CFA level 3. Hope it's a good one for you all, and hopefully we will see you on the other side. Cheers, everybody.